differently today because I know a lot of you have broken up from school already, haven't you? Some of you are just locked in your house because you're in tier 10 of whatever the coronavirus restrictions. Probably the army are outside your house, not letting you go to the shops or something like that. I jest, of course, but I feel for any of you that are shut in and you're going to be lonely this Christmas or anything like that. We're going to try and keep the content coming thick and fast, try and take a little light-hearted look at everything that's happening. But I do know it's hard, folks. And I mean, let's be fair, it's not easy. So what we thought we'd do, we'd give you a little video on match day just to bring you up to kick-off time. And maybe if we just pass sort of 25 minutes a day, it'll be something. I'm joined by my friend Tommy. How are you, Tommy, mate?
Good, Gonzo, thanks. Yeah, relaxing. So I'm one of those people now that's on my Christmas holidays officially. So enjoying the break, to be honest. And thankfully, we're not on anything like a tier 4 here. So basically free movement. As long as you got your mask on and you socially distance, we're good. So getting those last few bits and pieces sorted for before Christmas Day when you have to dish out the prezzies. So thankfully, I'm on top of it.
Good for you, mate. Well, we've been we're having our closed shop. We've got some mutant Ninja Turtle strain of the virus over here now, which I don't know what it does. I really don't know. Probably might turn you into a frog or something like that. I'm not sure what it does, but anyway, the shops are closing. Christmas is cancelled. I don't even know why I'm laughing. I'm absolutely gutted about it, but we got to carry on. As I say, I really do. I feel for a lot of people, and I found myself sort of almost wanting to put a video out to say to everybody, I hope everyone's okay and stuff like that. But so I am saying I hope everybody's okay. But we'll dress it up as a West Ham video because there's a couple of things that have caught my attention, and I want to get your opinions on the upcoming Chelsea game, which will be obviously later on this evening. I'll tell you what's caught my attention, Tommy, and I really like this. And I'll let me just go through it, and then I'll bring you in rather than bringing you in after every point. And it's something David Moyes has said. And it's about not over-promising. I don't know if you've seen the article or you've heard what he's had to say, but David Moyes has said, I want to make sure I don't over-promise to West Ham supporters because I think they've been over-promised. I think we can all read the undertones and the connotations to what that means. He said, I want to be as straight as I can. I think we've got a really good team in the making at the moment. We've brought in some really good, exciting players, and hopefully the next couple of transfer windows, we can add to that. I can't build it and get it all good right away, but I believe I can build it and get it good given a period of time, which I think is fair and honest. He said, that's not me as a manager asking for more time. That's me being realistic. He's basically said, I'm not begging Golden and Sullivan to give me more time. It's just going to take time, which is fair enough. He said, you can't turn perceptions around of West Ham in one transfer window or even two transfer windows. This is a massive oil tanker and we're turning it around. He's not talking about Sebastian Haller there, by the way. He's talking about the club. It's a joke. It's a joke. I hope he wants to get it absolutely. He wants to get it turned around and in the right direction with everybody aboard. I'm glad he said that. Look, it's really clear what he's saying. What he's saying is, you've been overpromised. I can do a job here. It's going to take me longer than a couple of transfer windows to do it, but give me enough time. Give me, I don't know what he said. Look. He's saying he's not angling for a new contract. I believe him because I believe he's that cocksure of himself now. He believes he'll get one. I think what he's saying is going to take me 6 or 7 transfer windows to get this right. And I look at it and this sort of buys into something that I was feeling myself, Tommy, which is I think he's 4 or 5 players away within the team to the team that he wants. And just, it doesn't mean that there's 4 or 5 players in the team at the moment that he wants to jettison and get out of the club. Those players would naturally, I would think, go towards the bench. They then go on the bench and become bench players, and they are players that he would trust coming off the bench. And it's something I want to see, which is if we go out and spend £30 million a player, £25 million a player, they shouldn't be a bench player at West Ham. They should go into the team. And I do believe what he's, and I believe it or not, I'm just buying into this philosophy. I like the fact that he's keeping it realistic. I like the fact that he's almost changing it 1 position or 2 positions at a time, each transfer window. And I've got to be honest, I'm buying into this philosophy. I'm buying into this, Tommy. I take it. Did you read that at all? Or what did you think when you heard me reading it?
No, that was my first time hearing it. I didn't have a chance to get to it. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there's anything in there that any reasonable West Ham fan would have a problem with. I think we're a reasonable fan base if you're straight with us, and we're not, our fan base aren't stupid. We understand that these things are going to take some time. We can't do a Chelsea. We can't go out and spend 220 million in the summer on a bunch of household name players. I think all we want to see is that there is a plan and that there is a progression. And the big thing, obviously, is that he needs the backing from the board, as much as they can give him, at least. Like I said, I know we're not flush with money exactly, but I think everything he said there is just common sense, and no West Ham fan, I think, will have any problem with that. And you're right. I think kind of as you bring in players, as we should be, I think, who will go straight into the first team, then you strengthen the bench by default.
Yeah.
Because a player who was a regular starter this week now has to take a place on the bench, and so if he is needed, whether it's coming on as a sub or through injury or suspension to the first team player, then at least we have an able deputy, as it were, to come in. So I think it's the right approach from Moyes. It's kind of, I suppose it just is typical David Moyes, this kind of steady as she goes kind of approach, which he has no choice in taking anyway. It is a process, given that we are a club with kind of limited transfer funds. So I think everything in there is reasonable. I think fans will be absolutely fine with that. I think they'll get on board with it, because there's a certain amount of trust now that David Moyes, I think, has built up with the fan base. He's shown us over these last few months, particularly as we've said before, post-lockdown, that he's clearly a manager who knows what he's doing. He's improved a lot of things since he's come in. We all know it's still early in the process, but I think he's done enough so far that we can trust him. And I think the board, most importantly, should trust him with transfer funds. He's shown he's competent, and there's no doubt. Now, look, he inherited, I'm sure, like any manager probably would, a lot of players that he perhaps doesn't quite fancy, and would like ideally to replace with players who are more suited to their way of playing and their way of thinking about the game. No shocks or surprises there. That's just kind of standard football stuff, really. I did enjoy, I have to say, the very first line, the opening line about the promises.
Yeah.
About over promising. I imagine likes of David Sullivan and David Gold read the article, that kind of raised an eyebrow. They're probably thinking, "Fucking hell, that's a swipe. That was the swipe, wasn't it?"
It was a swipe, but a realistic swipe. And it shows us, Tommy. What I like about this is I think it shows he's savvy enough to show that he's on our side. It's funny, whenever I bring up Sam Allardyce, there are always a couple of people who defend Sam, and you're more than welcome to defend Sam. I don't like him, but one of the reasons I don't like him is putting the football to one side. And it's not that I think I've shown with David Moyes, I don't mind some pragmatic football. Just Sam Allardyce promised that his football he'd have a bloody good defence, and he didn't. So, let's get that straight. Actually, my problem with the football with Sam Allardyce, he had a winning team with Stuart Downing, sat behind Sacco and Valencia up front. And he uttered those immortal words: "We've got to find a way to get Andy Carroll and Kevin Nolan back in the team." He did completely change the shape of the team. Stuart Downing got back into the England team, and that he changed the shape. He started shoving players that had done well centrally wide, and I think we won 3 games for the remainder of the season, having been in 4th. Right. So anyway, football aside, not that I remember or better, but it was the way he had sort of had a disdain for West Ham. He came in straight away. What's the West Ham way? What's the West Ham way? Basically, that's a load of rubbish. And he said, "What's the West Ham way? Losing." That's what he said. Then he said, "Actually, every time I ever come here as a player, we always used to win. We knew it was a comfortable place to go, and it was easy." And actually, we looked at the stats, and he'd visited West Ham as a player 5 times, and he'd got a draw once. I think he got a draw. He played for Millwall and got a draw. Or was it Notts County? One of the two. He'd come over and he got a draw. But he'd lied. He said he used to come here and win all the time. And he'd never won, right? And the other thing was the Bobby Moore thing. Saying I always remember Bobby Moore as a Fulham player. He knew what he was saying. He's not stupid, Sam. And every time he went a cup in of the year, just trying to undermine. He didn't like West Ham fans. And the thing I like about David Moyes, the thing I like about this, he's clever enough to align himself with the West Ham fans. And him saying that the opening statement, which was, I think you've been overpromised, is him saying, hold on, I'm on your side. And he says things like, I want the fans back in the stadium and all this sort of stuff. Mate, I really like him. Just because I don't want to run out of too much time, we're already 10 minutes in. Did you see the Mark Noble thing about Mark Noble getting offered a new contract? You seen that one?
I actually haven't. I've completely missed everything this weekend. I've just been so busy. But if I can very quickly touch on the Sam Allardyce thing.
Mm.
This thing has been going on the last few months among the West Ham fan base, which completely eludes me and goes over my head. There's a kind of Sam Allardyce revisionism that's kind of going on and saying, actually, Sam was a great manager, and blah, blah, blah. It's like people have short memories. I think I did not enjoy our time under Allardyce whatsoever. He's a cantankerous man.
That's a great word.
And like you said, he just rubs people up the wrong way, and he's quite combative. And you're right. I mean, that cupping of the year thing. I mean, that was after a home game with Hull City where we'd won 2-1 and had the team booed off the pitch after a win, and that was kind of what you were talking about. He didn't understand West Ham way. What does that even mean? It just showed how completely tone deaf he was toward the entire club, just as an entity, and he couldn't understand. He's like, we've just won 2-1. What's this? Why are you booing? And it was because what we were seeing on the pitch kind of went completely against everything we kind of believe in, really, as a fan base. And it was just the style of play, and the way we had won was just completely alien to us. Like, we like our football played a certain way, and it doesn't necessarily mean ticky-tacky Man City, Barcelona. We're more pragmatic than that. We know we're not going to get that. But, the way he had us set up was just awful. And the Everton fans, ask any Everton fan, they'll tell you the same thing. Everton fans hated watching Everton under Sam Allardyce and were delighted when he left. So all this revisionism about Big Sam's time at West Ham, I don't understand and never will. I never liked him, not particularly as a person, don't like him as a manager, and I was delighted when he left. So that's that. Anyway, Mark Noble.
Yes.
He's saying he's getting a new contract, isn't he?
Well, I read the article. I say that. I managed to scroll down off it. Mark Noble's likely to be next in line for a new West Ham deal with his contract running out in the summer of next year, end of this season, basically. There's no point in me reading any more. I'd like to know bear in mind you don't know the story. What's your initial reaction to that?
I suppose it's twofold, really. First of all, I guess it depends on what we're talking about here. If they're saying, look, we're going to chuck an extra year on it, because Mark Noble has sat down with them and said, look, I'll be retiring soon, but I'm not quite ready. I'm thinking maybe just one more season, and then I'll retire. Then I think you're kind of obliged to say, well, okay, Mark, we'll tack 1 year on the end of it, and then you retire, and we'll see where we go after that. Maybe bring you in as a coach or whatever. I don't think it would be right, given that he's Mark Noble, the service he's given to the club. He's captained the club for so long. If he says he wants another season, I think you have to honour him and honour his wishes and say, okay, one more. But obviously, if we're talking about anything more than that, if we're talking about 2 and 3 years, then that would be a bit more kind of eyebrow raising for me.
Sure.
But I doubt it. I would be surprised if it would be more than a 1 year extension. And if that's what it is, I'm fine. Realistically, would any West Ham fan, if Mark Noble were coming to them saying, I'll just, one more season after this and then I'm retiring, and can we get a contract done for an extra year? Who would say no, realistically? So if that's what it is, then it's absolutely the right thing to do if that's what he's asked the club for.
Yeah, look, I was sort of, I don't know why I was a little bit shocked by it. I think you're right. I think you've been very reasonable and nice then, by the way. And you say would no one's going to be so unreasonable that they would deny him a new contract. I think there'll be plenty who say he shouldn't get a new contract. I think he should work for the club for as long as he wants to. Don't get me wrong. Whether he should get a new playing contract, I don't know. I think I need to see a bit more from him this season. I don't need to see anything more from Mark Noble tonight. He's committed to the club, to put him on the coaching staff instantly. I really don't. I'm not not saying boot him out and put his clothes in a black bin liner and chuck him out the window. Not that I know what that feels like, of course. But just treat him well and so on and so forth. However, a new playing contract. I think I need to see him play more this season. If he gets to the end of the season and all he's done at the end of the season is what he's done in the last 2 or 3 months, which is play 5 minutes here or there, then actually he's not even contributing as a squad player. So I think there's no reason to offer him a new contract. I think if once we get to fixture congestion, we find Noble is playing the odd game here or there, and we get to the end of the season and find out that Noble has played 15 games and come on as sub 10 times, then you think, okay, we look at another year. So I think it might be a little bit too early, really. I think we don't have to make this decision now. It's not like some ambitious team is going to come in and buy Mark Noble off of us or anything like that, or sweep him up. I think he's so loyal, we've got time to have a look at him. Plus, we've got this sort of clouds of Declan Rice hanging over us at the moment, so we really don't know what's going to happen on that. Just before we wrap up on this one, Tommy, I think we need to do a much longer video very, very soon, because I've got the feeling that we're gonna talk for hours actually.
Yeah,
I want to get this video out and for tomorrow morning. Monday morning day of the Chelsea game.
And just for clarity, what you just said, I would absolutely 100% agree with you about any other player. But I think Noble, given who he is, what he means to the club, I think if he says he wants 1 more year, I would say, okay, look, fine. Even if he doesn't feature very often, for him, I would do it.
Yeah. No. You're right, and you're reasonable. I just, I think I was just a little bit surprised to read it, but yes, and he does deserve it. And let's be fair, actually, to Noble on this. I don't know what Noble's on at the moment, but I'll be surprised if he's on over 70 grand a week, right?
Yeah.
I think probably Mark Noble has stayed with the club for all that time, and he's seen a lot of players come and go, probably on double the money that he's probably always been someone at the club on double the money of Mark Noble, and he's been captain for a fair period of that time. And I think Noble's probably seen a lot of players come and go and get rich at West Ham United who weren't a quarter as committed as he is to West Ham United. So it's not the money that bothers me. Actually, I think he's.
I'll tell you what, though, Gonzo, I would actually put a caveat in there. I'd say, okay, Mark, look, if you want this extra season, we'll give you this extra season. But we're making Declan Rice club captain next season.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Yeah. How do you feel? Do you know what? I've asked this. How do you feel about Declan Rice being an Irishman? How do you feel about the whole England thing? I didn't even think about it. Yeah, come on, tell us. I'll be interested.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I'd be lying if I said I was comfortable with what happened. You can understand it if say you're in neutral, you're from another country, and you're sitting back and you're looking at it. You can probably think, well, yeah, look, you can understand why he wants to play for England rather than Ireland, right? I mean, England obviously one of the best teams in the world. They'll qualify for every tournament. Euros are coming up next season. They've got a shot at winning it. And I really mean that. I think England have got a real chance at winning that tournament. Us, on the other hand, at the moment, I have to say we're shambles, absolute shambles, poor quality in the squad. So I can understand his decision in even just in footballing terms. It was a no-brainer, if we're honest. But obviously, when it comes to international football, it's your country. And you have a lot of love for that, and you have a lot of pride in that, and it's about your heart as much as anything. And he when he played with us, he was brilliant. Obviously, tremendous young prospect, and he'd kiss the badge, and he'd say all the right things in interviews. He was asked about the potential for after one game about switching over to England and about would there be a decision to make, and he basically had said that there's no decision to make. I'm an Irish player, and of course next thing you know he's gone. So obviously that's the kind of stuff that obviously will leave a bitter taste in the mouth. So yeah, it was hurtful when he switched, and it had nothing to do with history or bloody troubles or anything like that. It was just like I say, just national pride, and obviously we were very eager for Declan to stay because he's such a talent. But time heals all wounds. So ultimately, I got over the kind of initial hurt of it. And to be honest, for him, I think he absolutely made the right decision. I would feel bad for him having to play for Ireland right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've got. Sorry, I know I said we wouldn't drag this on, but there you go, it's happened now. As I'm actually in Declan Rice's position, and I don't just mean as a talented and rich footballer. I'm in Declan Rice's position in as much as.
Gonzo, go the other way, and you will get a game.
It's true. Well, I can do. This is really my point. Because I would qualify, and see, Declan Rice's dad is English, but he's first generation Irish immigrant. Basically, his granddad is Irish. Well, that's my situation. So when Declan Rice said he loved Ireland, I completely believe him. By the way, I mean, I completely believe him. And it's who knows if I'd have been as as talented as him and had that wonderful decision to make. Oh, which international team shall I play for? Quite frankly, mate, honestly, I'd swim the ocean just to play a game for the Faroe Islands. Quite frankly, to play international football. So no one's given me the chance, and they'd probably turn me round and send me back home. But who knows how you would react in such a situation? But I'm pretty sure because I love Ireland. You know what I mean? I'm English, but I love Ireland. I've spent a lot of time over in Ireland. I grew up and spent so much time within an Irish family, as you know yourself. So you can't not. You know what I mean? You can't. You can't not. You can't go to. You can't go to Ireland and go on holiday and go around your nan's house and go to mass and go to Irish weddings, which are crazy in Ireland. When you go to a wedding, everyone's honking their horn and all the rest of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. And it's just such a wonderful place, and the Irish sense of humour and all. I'm sure he does. I bet he loves Ireland. I bet he loves his granddad and all the rest of it. And I bet it was a hard decision for him. So I don't think he was being deceitful when he kissed the badge and said he loved Ireland. I bet he did at the time, but probably the opportunity of England. And it's just funny how it goes sometimes. Just quickly, just finish up. We're playing Chelsea later on today. What are your thoughts for that game, mate?
Quite optimistic. For a couple of reasons. First one being we tend to turn up against Chelsea. Our performances against Chelsea tend to be very good. Now, we won't always win those games, won't always draw them. Obviously, you all remember that Hazard wonder goal, that solo goal that done for us at Stamford Bridge. But again, that was a very, very close game that we played really well in. Obviously, we've won there recently with that Cresswell goal, absolute beaut, cutting off his left foot and amazingly right-footed. Just sent a low curling drive in just inside the far post. A beautiful goal. And then obviously the brilliant late winner last season at our place from Yarmo. So we tend to turn up against Chelsea and put in good performances. So I'm optimistic on that front. Also, we're kind of a different animal now this season as well, because even when we're not quite at it, we're still hard to play against. We're still hard to score on. And so I don't see Chelsea scoring many goals here. I think if they do score, they will have to earn it. They'll have to play really well to score goals past us tonight. So I'm optimistic on that front. Plus, I think we can get at them on set pieces. I think corners, deep free kicks, crosses. I think we can hurt them. So I'm quite optimistic. Plus, I think Chelsea. Look, if you look at the two teams on paper, it looks like a mismatch.
Yeah.
But the reality is that despite the star names that Chelsea have and some brilliant signings they've brought in, they haven't all quite gelled yet. I think as a team, I think they're still a little bit disjointed, and they blow a bit hot and cold. Plus, I think they're under a bit of pressure. Is it 3 in a row they've lost now? And
I think, certainly 2 league games, and they drew the Champions League game in the middle.
Yeah, so they're not going great, and I think they might be under a little bit of pressure, Lampard and the players, to get a result here.
I agree.
So I'm a little optimistic on that front. I think we'll be largely successful defensively, and I think we can have some joy on our set pieces. So I think we can come away from this one with a point. I think we might just come out of there with a 1-1 draw.
Fair enough, mate. Fair play. I predicted a win.
Well,
Subject to change, mate. As you know,
it could happen. Absolutely.
I know. I do. I think I've seen a lot. I can't remember. I can't count. Well, I can, but I'm not. I can't recollect. Should I say? I can count, but I can't recollect how many times I've beaten Chelsea. But it seems, in my mind's eye, it seems like we've beaten them lots of times and caused them problems lots of times. Just over the years, they're not like Liverpool. You know what I mean? I look back at Liverpool. We've beat Liverpool up until the last season at Upton Park, where we did. I think we played them 3 or 4 times and beat them 3 times or something like that. Apart from that, we've beaten Liverpool in years. It's not like Liverpool, Chelsea. We beat Chelsea. So not particularly a bogey team. Or Everton. Everton were a bogey. Everton, for instance, is much more a bogey team.
Lukaku used to score absolutely every time you could put your mortgage on it.
Yeah, but, and even us, and before that, and Howard Kendall's Everton team, and just going back, Chelsea had never been a team with struggled. I'm not sure I believe in all that, but
and not just historically, but this actual group of players do not fear Chelsea.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. What a great point, actually. This group don't fear them. They don't have to search their memory banks like me. They have it in their mind. Oh, hold on, we did them last time, and they
don't have to get on Pathé News, to see one of West Ham last one at the Bridge.
No,
Cresswell's sitting there. He scored the winner.
Souček had one chalked off, of course, as well, which was which was deserved.
Yarmolenko's sitting there. He scored a winner against them last season.
Yeah, I think Yarmolenko will continue to sit there, to be fair, for this one.
Yeah, he will.
Possibly. Listen, mate, I'm gonna skedaddle. It's 26 minutes. Thank you once again, Tommy. Thanks for joining us, mate. We'll have you back again next week, will we?
Absolutely. Pleasure. Thanks, Gonzo.
Good man. Thanks, buddy. We'll catch up with you very, very soon.